Hello everybody and welcome back to World of Warships Legends. My name is Spartan Elite 43 and tonight we have your very first look at the Tier 6 British heavy cruiser, the Cheshire. So without further ado, let's get into our commander. Now, I have had to change the commander setup from our light cruiser to this cruiser. I did everything in my power to try to make this ship do something. So let's go over it real quick. We're using Bruce Fraser, we have Nikolai Kuznetsov, and we have Norman Scott as our two inspirations. We are running Beyond Range, Igniter, Punch Through, Fixated, and Fully Packed as our skills. We are running Aiming Systems Mod 1, and we are running Steering Gears Mod 2, and Steering Gears Mod 3 as well. This is absolutely necessary in this ship, as I'll go over in a minute. Let's take the range off of it right now. As you can see, I was doing everything to try to max out my range, even though the match that you're going to see doesn't utilize the range at all. But that's not my fault. It's just the way it ended up. Stats, you've got 42,500 hit points, which is pretty nice. Unfortunately, it doesn't matter. 19% torpedo damage reduction, which is nice, but it really doesn't matter. Main batteries, 234mm Mark 50 or 50 caliber guns. So 234mm 50 caliber guns. Keep that in mind. On a cruiser, there are 6 of them. Okay, and yeah, they're not good. You got 3 triple. You got 3 double turrets. Sorry, 4 over the nose, 2 at the rear. They fire out to 16.9 kilometers without the buff to the range from the booster, but you'll probably be running a booster if you get this ship, which I do not recommend. Reload time, 17 seconds, is in the wheelhouse, but it's understandable why it's a little higher than, say, like the New Orleans or any of the other heavy cruisers at its tier, just because they are 234mm guns, so that's not that bad. The 180-degree time is not that bad. Okay? HE shell damage, 3850 with a 27% chance to set fires. AP shell maximum damage is 6210, which, let's be real honest, that's horrendous. That is way under what it should be. I don't know why they did that. I know why in my head they did that, which is to make people use the HE. The AP in this ship is hot garbage most of the time. Okay? So we'll go over that in the gameplay. Secondaries, you got 16 of them. They're 114mm, which is actually not bad for a cruiser. And they have 10% chance to set fires, but they only reach out to 4.7, which is pretty normal. Torpedo launchers, you have 2 quad launchers, one on either side of the ship. They're 533mm. They're actually pretty good torpedoes. So when you get a chance to use your torpedoes, obviously you want to use them. They have an 8-kilometer range base, or at least with our build. I don't think I've done anything to buff them. So 8-kilometer range is not bad. 61 knots, not the fastest, but not the slowest torpedoes in the world. And like I said, they're not bad. They do 15,433 damage, so that's not bad for 533mm torpedoes. Though they do still take a minute and a half to reload, which isn't preferable. But they have fantastic firing angles on the torpedoes. Literally the best firing angles you can get on these torpedoes. Maximum speed is 35 knots, just under. The turning circle is horrendous, 720 meters. That is literally worse than an Alabama. Now, obviously, they don't adjust the turning circle for the mods that I've done, like the 2 steering gear mods. That didn't change at all when I upgraded it. But we have the rudder shift time down to 5.1, which you are definitely going to want to try to do. Because this thing, you do not want to be taking hits in it. Detectability by sea, because we removed our concealment mod, it's not particularly good at 11.1. The detectability by air, 7 kilometers. Guaranteed is always 2. And detectability while firing in smoke, because they're such large guns, are 7.2 kilometers. So not particularly good for a cruiser. They have big guns. Yes, it does. Pyromania, above average chance for HE shells to cause fire. I'll agree with that. Superior HE damage, or HE penetration, above average HE shell penetration. Yeah, okay. a variant of the British heavy cruiser project developed at the beginning of World War II, armed with 234mm main battery guns. Year of design is 1940. So let's look at the ship. First thing you're going to notice is this ship sits out of the water like a high-rise. Like, this is literally a floating apartment building. So you are going to take hits. This thing is literally the easiest ship in the game to shoot. Like, it sits so high out of the water, it has basically no armor. It's got a good torpedo bulge, but that's it. The rest of the ship has no armor whatsoever, according to anything that I've been shot by. And you'll see that in the game too. But, as you can see, torpedo tubes mounted basically midship inside the hull, which you would think would protect them, right? Wrong. These torpedo tubes get knocked out if anybody hits the side of your ship with HE. Immediately. Just completely destroys them. So, keep that in mind. But, that's basically all I got to say. Like, I like the look of the ship, and that's the only thing it's got going for it. So, with that being said, let's get to the gameplay. Alrighty, so I'm not gonna lie to you guys, this ship is really, really bad. It's not a good ship. There's not very many redeeming qualities to this ship. However, one of the things that I say about most of the ships is that you will want to have support in this ship. This ship is not very good on its own. Anytime you get focused by anything, you die very quickly. This thing doesn't have any armor, despite the way it looks. Like, you would think it would have some armor, but nope. Literally has no armor, as you'll see demonstrated here shortly. But, let's talk about the goods. Like I said, this thing has fantastic torpedo angles. Like, it can launch torpedoes at basically the entire, what is it, 120 degrees of the side of the ships? Something like that. I don't know. It's not quite a full 180. Obviously, but it can launch the torpedoes pretty much at any point, even if it's just barely angled off the nose of the ship. Like, say you're angled off the front trying to keep the armor angled as best you can generally launch torpedoes at an enemy at that angle. So keep that in mind. These torpedoes are very, very good. So that is the one good thing about it. The other good thing about it is that, according to, and this is just me quoting not Cerberus, I personally don't know a lot of the technical details of the guns. I know the overmatching formula, but I've never actually paid attention to what the armor characteristics are of the other cruisers and stuff at this tier, generally because I'm usually in a battleship and I know I overmatch them, so it's not that big a deal. But in a cruiser, apparently this has big enough guns that it can overmatch the bow armor of almost all of the tier 6 cruisers. But the problem with it is that it has no armor. So even if you can overmatch them, and you're going to see the AP, this is the best damage game I've had in this ship. The AP in this one was behaving. But in almost every instance that I've shot cruisers at, the AP is just overpinned and done basically no damage. And on top of that, the HE isn't particularly reliable. It doesn't set fires as much as you would think it would, with as high a chance as it is of setting fires. And the reason for that is, it's not very accurate. The guns are not particularly well grouped when hitting targets. So that's a thing. Now here we get a bit of a butt pucker moment. We see the torpedoes, and we were just starting to slow down, so we have to speed up here. And luckily the British get that basically propulsion mod built in, and we're able to turn in and avoid those torpedoes. However, the battleship behind me is not going to be so lucky, and he is going to be absolutely obliterated by them. Thanks. You know, it's always nice when we pay attention and nobody else does. But it is what it is. We've got a Nuremberg straight out over the bow. We shot at the Leander initially, and now we see that there's a California over here we're trying to avoid at all costs, because battleships just citadel you anywhere they hit you on the ship. This is literally a Pensacola on steroids in that sense. Every time a battleship hits you, it doesn't matter where it lands on the ship, it citadels you. Now, we launched the torpedoes off the right side of the ship there, and that's the only time you're going to see me launch torpedoes in this match. But, again, torpedoes are very good on this ship. It is one of the highlights. There's 2 highlights to this ship, and that is it. But we're going to get a lot of opportunities to shoot cruisers. We're going to be a little bit reckless with these cruisers because, I don't know, I felt like I could take them, and I'm not going to get any support doing it, unfortunately. So you'll see Nuremberg comes out. He's sailing away from us, which is preferable. When you've got guns this big, you want them to sail away from you. That is the only way you're going to get any significant damage on him. And as you can see, 3 torpedo hits, only a single flood on what I'm assuming is the California over there. So we did get some damage there finally. The AP on this, like I said, you're not going to have a good time. We get a very good 3-pin right there, which is rare. We hit the guy with 3 shells. And that's what I'm saying about this ship. It's not good with the grouping, as you would think it would be for a cruiser, especially a cruiser with big guns. You would assume that the guns would be the highlight of the ship, but they are not. They overpin everything, and then they shatter on battleships. So you can't even really count on the AP versus battleships, which you would think you would be able to. Now we've got the broadside of an Atlanta, and this is not preferable, but you're going to see the first time that I actually get a Citadel on a cruiser ever. And that is because he is angled slightly, and he's an American cruiser, which means you have the raised Citadel. But I've said it before, I'll say it again, Atlantas, if you're sailing broadside on and slightly angled, you're going to get punched. You're just not going to get away with it. And sure enough, but you can see he is punching us right back. I mean, dude is tearing us up, and he gets a lot better reload than we do. So you can see I'm trying to get back up and use the island a little bit. Try not to get hit by him. But it's still in Atlanta. It can still hit us. But our team is going to hopefully get rid of him very quickly. We got most of his health gone. Nuremberg's still alive out there because nobody on my team has been able to shoot him. I've taken all of his health from him. And we have the Belfast out to my left, and that is absolutely terrifying. Because the Belfast has very good AP and very good HE. And unfortunately, he's got a much higher fire rate than I do. He's just a better ship overall. The Belfast is way better than this ship, with the exception that this ship has torpedoes and the Belfast does not. The Belfast has radar. This ship does not. This ship has a sonar and no plane or anything that it can use to spot. If you use the concealment mods and stuff, you can get the concealment under 10, which isn't too bad, but it's not a good ship. It just isn't. There's not a lot of good things about this ship. If you've got support and you're not the front line and you're not the one taking all the hits, then maybe you can use this ship. But I'll just be perfectly honest, I'm not going to be picking this ship up. There's way more better ships, especially tier 6, tier 7. There are way better ships that you can use to do damage, and way less frustrating to play. As you can see, we're going to get some overpins on the Belfast. I stayed with the armor piercing on the Belfast here because with him moving around, I was expecting at these ranges that I could get some penetrations through the deck and potentially get some Citadels on him. And unfortunately, it just doesn't happen. And eventually, I'm going to be forced to turn back. Now, I'm trying to survive long enough. You can see I'm deking over here. I'm dodging, trying to avoid getting shot too much because his HE is actually tearing me up. He does get the fire there, which is unfortunate. And it's at this point that I realize he's running away from the fight. We don't need to chase him. We have bigger options to worry about, which is the battleship and stuff that are trying to capture D right now. So I'm going to turn around and try to get back. I just got my last heal. I'm trying to get that back, and we're going to definitely try to disengage here. We're going to still fire at him, obviously, but we need to try to disengage. Now, this battleship that's next to me, I don't even want to talk about. You'll see why in a little bit, but this guy is literally, I just don't want to talk about him. Otherwise, I'll get hate mail in the comments, and you guys will think I'm just a bully. So, yeah, we're not going to talk about him. We're going to instead try to get back and deal with the battleship. Now, personally, if I was the Queen Elizabeth, and he does actually turn around to try to help with the Fuso, but if I was the Queen Elizabeth in this situation and you've got a chance to help your team with the Fuso, you sail out around the island that you just went around, and you get into an engagement with the Fuso as quickly as possible. That is not what this Queen Elizabeth does at all. So that's my biggest issue right off the bat, is that I don't have the hit points to take hits with it from a Fuso. Period. Any battleship in the game will absolutely wreck this ship. Period. Doesn't matter if you're battle tanking, doesn't matter if you're trying to angle. Like, this ship gets touched by any sort of armor piercing from a battleship, it dies. And it doesn't even have to be large caliber. Any battleship and this thing dies. HE spam obliterates the ship. It doesn't have any armor. Now, we got the broadside of a Leander here. And this is where I will say, all of the British light cruisers can take this thing out no problem. Even with their armor piercing. I would rather be in one of the light cruisers than this thing. So keep that in mind. This is not a good ship. If you were hoping for this ship, and I'll be honest, I was looking forward to that. Why do you think I actually went and like delayed an upload specifically to get this video out? I was looking forward to this ship. I figure a heavy cruiser coming out, British heavy cruiser, this should be fun. No, it was not fun. This ship is not good. Now here, I make a mistake. I overrun the island. I get the torpedoes off, hoping to get a shot on him. This guy kind of led me into this. He deked me a little bit. Thought he was going to go inside the island, so I was going to overrun and be able to shoot him. Unfortunately, not the case, and he's just going to obliterate me while I'm armored, or while I'm angled as best I can to him. It's just, there's nothing I can do about that. Hoping that he runs into the torpedoes at this point, but unfortunately, that's not going to happen. Now, we look at the Pensacola here on accident. I wasn't trying to look at the Pensacola. I was trying to switch to the Queen Elizabeth. And like I said, as you can see, the Queen Elizabeth doubled back and is now trying to go around the island instead of trying to go directly to get into a fight with the Fuso. But again, that engagement where I just died was mostly my fault, just due to the fact that I thought he was going to go back to the inside of the island, and he didn't. He actually swung it back out and caught me. So that's on me. But this engagement that you're about to see is absolutely the exact reason why I try to teach people. Okay, so I'm going to do this without making fun of the person. If you're in a battleship at these ranges, 5 kilometers, you better have AP loaded. That is a battleship at 5 kilometers. If this Queen Elizabeth loaded AP, that battleship is gone. Period. No chance. But they're both sailing broadside on. They're both begging to be citadeled, and only one of them is using AP. And all of the health of the Queen Elizabeth is now gone. And he's firing HE. Now, HE has its advantages, obviously, but you just set a fire, and he's immediately going to extinguish it, and you have another island coming up. And you can see I'm looking at the Fubuki now, because I've already given up hope on the Queen Elizabeth winning that engagement. But I'll swing back over and look at the Queen Elizabeth in a moment. But know when to use AP and HE. Now, the Queen Elizabeth, I don't know why anybody would shoot HE out of it anyway, unless you're shooting at a destroyer, because the AP is fantastic. It is fantastic. You've got a very good reload. You've actually got a faster reload than that Fuso, and you have bigger guns. And he's firing HE again. Now, if he sets the fire, that's good here, because then it's going to stick. But the amount of damage that he takes in return, as you can see, he's down to 2,000 hit points, and they're inside secondary range, so if this guy sets a fire, you're going to be burning to death. And as you can see, this fire is going to stick. He's got at least 1, maybe 2 fires, it looks like. And so the Fuso's not long for this world, but he is going to live long enough to get reloaded and absolutely finish off our Queen Elizabeth. And so down goes the Queen, down goes the Fuso. They take each other out, so at the end of the day, not that big a deal, right? But that could have been avoided. All of that could have been avoided. One time, load AP, that guy dies. You don't. But, again, this is just me trying to teach folks. There is a time and a place to use AP and HE, and if you don't learn them, you are going to absolutely, like, hate life at higher tiers. Especially at higher tiers. Now, if Fubuki here comes out and starts dumping torpedoes, which is the right play, the wrong play here is to engage this cruiser at all. I don't care how little health he has. I don't care if you think that you can actually kill him, because he has no health. Let's be real here. You have 2,000 hit points. That is a cruiser that is going to wreck you really quickly. Now, he hits him initially, doesn't kill him, and this is where the pucker factor comes in, because here comes the shells, and he lives with 800 hit points. From 2,200 to 800 that quickly. And he honestly should have died in that engagement, and the Nuremberg should have won that match. But is what it is. We get lucky this time. Trying to win harder is never the option. We had the cap advantage, we had the point advantage. All the Fubuki had to do was sail away. So engaging was the wrong move. Though, you can't really fault him. 3,000 base XP, 3,000 base XP for him. Top of the leaderboard, 4 kills. We get 2,300 base XP, no kills. Second on the leaderboard. Like I said, I personally am not going anywhere near this ship with a 10-foot pole. So I highly recommend that you do not buy this ship. You will not generally enjoy it. The only people that will enjoy it are people who are amazing cruiser commanders. I am not that person. I enjoy heavy cruisers. I hate this ship. So, if you like what I'm doing, punch the like button, leave a comment below, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and as always, I will see you in the next video.